Good morning. Welcome to Marketing Over Coffee. I'm John Wall.
I'm Christopher Penn.
And yeah, I see I'm in the dark here. Of course, and I'm telling people in audio about how the light levels in here, which is of no interest to you. All right, we're starting off strong here. So you're just back from Canada anyways. How'd the trip up there go? You were telling people that you guys have been recently acquired. The home office is up there. Was this kind of the intro tour?
Yeah, I'm on world tour. So I was in Montreal a couple of weeks ago. I was in Toronto this week. I'm headed to Halifax in a couple of weeks. So I am doing the Great North world tour, if you will. But it's been fantastic meeting some like-minded folks and having a good time.
All right, that sounds good. Leading off, you've done some work on the business case for Snapchat. What's come out of that?
So yeah, we started hearing about Snapchat. This is Snapchat that, and people saying this is the future of everything. And so Shift did a Google consumer survey surveying 18 plus people who are frequent users of Snapchat, saying, okay, you use the wonderful app. Do you follow any brands? Have you bought anything from a brand? Have you considered buying something from a brand whose Snapchat content you've seen? Do you recommend a brand Snapchat channel to other people? And most people are saying nope. So we put together this white paper. There's a lot more detail and some charts in case you need to put it in your own presentations. But basically, there is no business case for Snapchat right now. There's no analytics. There's no public API. The ads that are in there are both expensive and provide you very little data. If you work with an account manager, you commission an ad, and then you get like an Excel spreadsheet of like top line results later on. Like, yeah, that's not really what we're looking to buy. So for today, no.
There has to be some kind of simple to understand model of how to think about these things, because we see this in every social media. This always happens. It's like the cool kids hang out there in the beginning, and it's just a place for them to gather. Literally any ads are a complete intrusion and get completely stonewalled, don't get to go anywhere. And, we see this happening over and over and over again. And yet still, every time one of these new ones comes out, everybody is scrambling to get the first ad on there. And so a not buy recommendation is on the list right now as far as that goes.
I would say, play with it if you're a brand that wants to engage consumers specifically and the 12 to 24 bracket. Go for it. Have fun with it. I would not be moving your DSP budget to Snapchat right away, though.
Right. And it's right, if you're running music festivals, then, perhaps there's something there. You definitely don't want to be selling enterprise software via Snapchat. That's going to be a complete waste of your time. So no surprise.
Yeah.
How about now? This was interesting. We've seen this bounce back and forth. Verizon offering $3 billion for Yahoo. I don't know. It's just amazing to me that happens. Yet, Yahoo is number 3 on the internet as far as traffic. So there's a lot of action there. But I just feel like Verizon's getting fleeced on this deal. That's my gut. What's your take on it?
Well, what are they buying? And that's ultimately the question with any of these acquisitions: is what are you buying? Yahoo's core business, it's a media company. So I guess they're buying eyeballs, but $3 billion is a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah, and Microsoft had offered double-digit billions maybe 5 years ago. And then the other story out of this too that I found quite interesting was Melissa Mayer gets to take advantage of a $55 million bailout if the deal falls through. So she definitely gets a gold star for setting up a great deal and making things work on her front, regardless of how everything else goes with such a deal. You were talking about future of social media analytics. What's going on there?
Yeah, so we were at I was next to Social Media Week in Toronto this past week. I didn't actually get a chance to go because my schedule was completely full up, but I was watching the conference feed, and there's still not a lot of talk about measurement, and what measurement talk there is still very much descriptive or diagnostic analytics. There's this whole hierarchy of analytics. Gartner first put out a version of it, and then we made improvements on it. There's descriptive, which is the stuff. There's diagnostic, which is what happened. There's predictive, which is what's going to happen based on machine learning models. There's prescriptive, which is here's what you should do about it. And then there's proactive, where eventually the machines will do it for us. And social media is still stuck in diagnostic. Like, how many retweets do we get? Right? It's important to know what happened, but very little of what I'm seeing in social media analytics has any, even predictive stuff. And what there is not great.
Yeah, now my gut is that's because it's always been a misfit, and these channels are just going to be customer service channels. I've never felt they were real solid marketing channels. It's more an option to listen and attract your customers. What do you think about that? Though, will there come a time? Will the better tools finally get to be prescriptive and actually start to tell people like when they? Well, and I guess we have seen. I guess the only thing I've ever seen on that front are scheduled tweets from TweetDeck. You can't have it hold the queue until what they say are the most effective time to hit. So at least there's one feature out there, which is not much to say after so many years.
Yeah, there is that's still very much based on pretty simple algorithms, right? Like, in the past, Thursdays at 2 have been popular, so Thursdays at 2 it is. And where the software has not gone yet, except for a very select few companies that are starting to experiment with it, is on like real serious anomaly detection. Like, if you have solid math capabilities backing stuff up, then you should have spotted the Chewbacca video within an hour or two of it starting to trend, because you would have seen like, this is an anomaly. This is something that is unusual volume, and the software should eventually say, hey, jump on this, right? I know Kohl's was like the first brand to actually jump on it with just, throwing some stuff out there. But wouldn't it have been nice if your brand had been the one to approach, like Saya and get a product placement in Gangnam Style before it really took off, or help reshoot it or something along those lines? There's a lot of opportunity. And the software if you've got robust enough software, you can start to detect these things as they happen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, being able to take more advantage of the data that's out there and, as you said, identify the anomalies and line it up. It's funny. We have an offer for MOC listeners. If you go to infer.com/MOC and enter your email, you'll see how Infer's simulation system works. You'll be rated as to whether Infer might be a fit for your organization. If you score above an 80, you'll be qualified to get a free pre-model assessment. They'll examine your last 12 months of Salesforce data and give you a full report on lead conversion metrics, campaign effectiveness, optimal timeframes for lead conversion, and all kinds of interesting stats. You can infuse intelligence into your sales and marketing stack, create lift with Infer. And we'd like to thank them for their support of the show. They've been putting data to work to improve the sales and prospecting process. Wow, and I got that out clean for our listeners, and we're glad to have them, their continued support of the show. And if you didn't check out the previous interview we had with one of their customers talking about their global programs, it's worth a listen. I'll include a link to that in the show notes too.
So one thing I got to ask you on the B2B front, because you obviously have literally written the book, B2B Marketing Confessions. We went from like the lost sheep B2B email, which is who's the right person at your company, to lately, like the minutes pitch. Like, I know you're busy, but if you only have 5 minutes, can we schedule a call? And actually the number seems to be like 15 minutes. In your view of the landscape, is that working any better? Because I see that and I think, well, there's a waste of 15 minutes I can just immediately delete.
Yeah, no, isn't it? There's this treadmill of, I liken it to antivirus software of you can always count on, if you come up with something new and novel for the first 3 days, you can do really well. And then everybody that copies it never has any luck with it. They see it and it's just a mistake. The thing that just kills me is people are still doing that mass shooting. The way to do it in B2B is always, you have maybe the body of the message is stock, but you always open with totally customized content. Like, hey, since you guys make a product that includes peanut butter, I thought you might be interested in this article. And you want that link to be as tight as possible, but you've got to have an individual hook. If you don't have anything that indicates, I know I am talking to you specifically, you're just, it's just another thing that's going to be screened. Week 1, it's going to drop by 50%. And by week 2, the real smart folks are going to have their email filter set up so you don't even make the inbox. It's yeah, isn't it funny? I've seen that 5-minute one. I'm trying to think of other ones that have been. The one that kills me the most is I was just wondering if you had a chance to follow up on my previous emails.
Yes, I've seen that one, and I'm sorry my email missed you. Yep, and it's going to keep missing me.
Yeah, this is not improving your case.
No, and the other one is where they add the reply tag to their email subject. Like, yeah, no, I never responded to you in the first place, so you go immediately in the trash bin.
Yeah, isn't that's like from 5 years ago too? Like you'd see if something has 3 rays on it, you're like, oh, obviously I've been in the loop on this one, so I got to read that. And now you're like, as soon as you see a ray, you're like, that Gmail doesn't append rays anymore. That doesn't work. That's baloney.
Yeah. I was trying to think of some of the other ones. Oh, so the one thing that we're testing out, and I would love to again hear if this has worked for you in the past. We've tried it in the past and it has worked very, very well, and we're trying an even more upscale version, is actually FedExing a physical package to someone, because typically even administrative assistants will not open up a personal package to an executive that's been FedExed to them by name.
Yeah, that's those programs. The problem, people have a hard time selling those to senior management because you're talking about maybe a $10, $12 drop, per box. So it's expensive. Whereas you can say, hey, I can send 80,000 emails for 4 cents. But it does cut through. And now more than ever, it used to be, it would cut through the mailroom and someone's assistant might open the package on you. But now it's like, man, some companies, a FedEx package arrives at the door and like the whole company talks about it. It's like, what the heck is this? Where did this come from? Who still does this? It in itself is a conversation piece. And the thing to do with that too is don't be afraid to mark up the box too. Put your logo on the box or some compelling copy or something. Yeah, that stuff totally works. And yeah, again, that goes back to the, are you going to spray and pray, or are you going to identify your list of 10 people that are the most in line from what you know? I mean, the data is all out there. You can find out who these people are, and you should be able to tell if there's somebody that should be a prospect for you. And, that's kind of the whole predictive, the account-based marketing. All this stuff is key to for B2B, because you just don't want to be spraying money all over the place and sending why haven't you answered my 5 previous emails. Oh, one thing I have seen that has worked somewhat is pretty good is sending an email with like 3 links in it. And it just says, look, I sent you 2 or 3 emails. I don't want to bother you. Click here if you would never buy this. Click here if you've already got it, or click here if, it's just not the time, but you want to occasionally get emails to me. And you just make it so it's just 1 click for them, and that's it. They don't have to do anything. Those kinds of programs, that's not a bad idea. That's actually using, because you're literally limiting it to 3 lines and 1 click, and that kind of stuff works, especially if one of the links is never bother me again. It's a win-win for everybody.
I just did that in my new marketing automation system. I set up 3 different landing pages so again, I can track the click to the landing page by URL. So you vote yes, no, I don't know. And that also has the impact. We can then adjust the score up or down for that lead, which is super helpful.
Yeah, because now you're actually slicing the leads a little bit and bundling them into groups as far as which ones are worth following up on, and which ones, because again, so much of the stuff it's horrendous when you're wasting everybody's time. It's like you're crafting copy that nobody wants to read, so it's like both of you are losing time and money. So there's no point in going down that path. All right, so you had on your blog, linked to a whole series of posts on marketing for kids. What drove that, and what's the big idea behind it?
So my wife and my daughter are interested in trying to do like an Etsy kind of thing at home, and they're like, how does that whole thing work? We just set up the page and put stuff up. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean that's step 1. I said, but you got to have marketing behind the stuff, because the idea of put something on the internet and people will buy it hasn't worked in about 15 years. So I'm like, oh, what would I try and tell them to help them get their little garage sale style business up and running? And so I ended up writing this. I first started writing down notes. I'm like, well, why don't I just turn this to a blog series? So that's what that became. And eventually, it's not going to be soon, but eventually we're going to take those posts, polish them up, and put them together as an ebook.
Dude, we should do a kids book. I was just thinking that. Isn't that an awesome idea? Did you see bedtime stories? Chris and John's bedtime stories of marketing for kindergartners.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'll do some market research on that. My initial gut is there might not be a fit for that, but maybe if we get a great illustrator, it could take off. I don't know. We'll have to tell us if you think that's a good idea.
Click here.
Click here if you want us to stay the hell away from your children. I can see that being the most popular link.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, well, the one thing that is you can easily get across to kids is that you can be a great writer without being a great marketer, but you can't be a great marketer without great at writing. And that's why our friends at Marketing Profs University created Marketing Writing Bootcamp. It's a brand new kind of writing course delivered entirely on demand. You can watch from your desktop computer, your couch, or during your commute, featuring 13 classes taught by some of today's brightest marketing writers. It's guaranteed to make you a better writer and, more importantly, a better marketer. The coupon code is coffee. You can visit mprofs.com/coffee. You'll also save $200. So it's a great bargain, and I get a chance to work on your writing skills. And yeah, send your kids. We're more than happy to run them through the program. I'm sure they'll pick up something from it and worth doing. So yeah, I'm on the title now. This is like either for the children or what's that? Remember those public service ads? It pays to know, or what the heck was it?
It was the more you know. It was the whole
right?
Joe thing.
One to grow
knowing is half the battle.
Rolling back to PSAs here. It's PSA day.
Exactly. Speaking of PSAs, so you were, what's the deal with the whole email server thing? You had posted on one of the social networks about trying to find an email service.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the story there?
These guys have to remain unnamed until I do more research, but I got this email in my box that said something like 20 times cheaper than MailChimp. And I was like, that's kind of like day old.
Half off surgery.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that doesn't sound like that's going to end well. And it's not as if I'm like, whoa, these MailChimp bills are killing us. It's like, I don't know, health insurance or MailChimp. Which do we cut? It's not that kind of problem. And so it's funny. You had said, obviously they have to have Amazon SME there on the back end of it. And yeah, I don't know. They have a real international component. So I'm also concerned about like a Russian server farm somewhere sending my emails. I'm sure that would go well.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, so a couple of interesting things on the Amazon SES front. I've been using it for the Mautic marketing automation system, and they just upgraded to 1.4. It's actually the product is starting to mature. It's like it's starting to show some serious oomph behind it. So I'm pretty pleased with that, particularly since the cost didn't change. If you want the hosted server, it's still $10 a month. But also there's a desktop app called Sendy that is basically just a desktop UI that plugs right into the Amazon API. So if you got a newsletter and you just want to send email, you don't care about marketing automation or lead tracking, Sendy is like a $50 app that you install once, and then after that you pay Amazon directly. So if you have some like super low cost marketing automation or email needs, either look at Mautic or Sendy depending on what your budget is and what your needs are.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, Event Hero is very interesting. We've been watching this project closely, and Mautic may be in our future. We're going to have to, we're keeping an eye on that to see what's going on. The tool front, I had a couple other things. One was MailChimp adding product recommendations. That was very interesting in that, and I didn't see which stores were supported, but it literally said, connect your store and we'll go through and check all your sales data and put together a recommended product box for you, and then you just slap the box on your email. You don't, you just put a line of code in there to make it show up, and they actually do all the work of like, okay, if you've bought, these 5 shirts, you're definitely interested in these pants, and we're going to show those. So that's a real kind of marketing automation 2.0 as far as what we were talking about just earlier, prescribing, actually doing the work for you and making it work. So I thought that was interesting. And the other one was on the HubSpot sales automation tool. They have now a scheduling module that plugs in. These are kind of all the rage. I've been using meetme.so for my thing, but anything where you have these situations where you get 5 emails back and forth, like, I'm free Wednesday, are you free Tuesday? No, the room's not busy, and it just goes back and forth. And instead you send an email with like, click on the link that works for you, and it's got like 5 links on it, and you can line it up. So but yeah, it's just like always a struggle. It's like, well, how well does it integrate with the Google Calendar? Are my busy notices going to update automatically, and kind of what goes into that? We should probably do a roundup on those at some point. But yeah, I don't know, any other tool stuff on that front that you've seen in the past weeks?
In the past couple weeks, no. I mean, like I said, I've been really playing around with the different marketing automation features and stuff, and it's there's a lot to be had now. We're at a point where really any business can afford a good marketing automation solution now. It's no longer like just the deep pocketed folks. And with Mautic in particular, once you learn the language and its particular quirks, I don't think it's any less powerful than like an out of the box Pardot. It's definitely not like a Marketo or Eloqua, massive beast, but honestly, for what I'm doing as a small business, you don't need it to be. I mean, I don't need to have dynamic coupon offers for all these retail things. That's not what I do. So these things are definitely worth checking out and at least downloading the open source version and trying it out first. And if you can make the open source version, then I would personally buy the hosted server because I don't want to administer servers.
Yeah, no, there's no, unless you're going to become a consultant administrating 50 servers for different customers, learning to be an expert at that is not worth your time. You might as well, for $10 a month, that's your time's worth far more than that. So there's no point in going that route. Okay, so we have to, because we've made it this far without a single message of Google, which is, given the past month and a half, is unheard of. But you had something about Google and Skynet?
Oh, so there was an academic paper released by Google recently saying that in all of their AI stuff, they are now at a point where they have recognized they need to put kill switches in the software of all their AI. So if they actually do become self-aware, they can turn them off before they start doing things they shouldn't be. So you'll find up, I think it's on Search Engine Land, but it really is. It's nice that they're thinking about this. They're going, yeah, this could actually be a problem at some point. Google could pull off Skynet with TensorFlow. But I was at a meeting this past week, and I said, the future is, the Terminators are coming, but they're just going to show you ads.
Let's just walk up to you with a display of, here's the shoes you probably should be buying.
Exactly. We'll shoot you if you don't click the ad.
If you don't purchase what's going on. Yeah, I see stories like that, but I'm like, okay, so the computer becomes sentient, and within 0.04 seconds realizes that there's a switch that can be shut off and immediately deactivates the switch. But like in what world is a human going to be like, oh wait, run for the switch now and make it? But this is not Star Trek. The combat will happen so fast we won't even hear it coming, as far as I'm concerned. But that's a nice positive upbeat to end this show for children that we've done today. We will have to move on. All right. We'll end with a laugh. I've got a link to Shaq. Lyft has done a bunch of ads with undercover drivers. And yeah, Shaq wearing a fake beard, I think, would not fool anyone, but you'll get a chuckle out of that. And I should throw in too, we had mentioned that Chewbacca ad. If you're one of the 4 people on the planet that missed that whole meme, we'll throw a link to that because that is just so funny. This woman wearing a Chewbacca mask that has garnered, and it was like the most viewed video on Facebook ever. And it was something insane, like hundreds of millions of views inside of a week and a half. So just completely on fire. But well, that'll pretty much wrap for this week. Have you got anything on the calendar for you coming up? Things to know about?
Yeah, so next week I'm doing the opening keynote at the PRXNE, the PRSA Northeast Conference. We'll be talking about reinventing public relations and what's desperately needed there. Hint, it's about measurement. The week after that, I will be in Halifax, and then the week after that, I'll be in Los Angeles. So doing client stuff and continuing the world tour. So coming to a city near you, buy tickets now.
Yeah, that's it. You've got the full rock and roll. We got to get a T-shirt made for you with the cities on back to cover it. I'll be down at Sales Machine next week, so if you're going to be over there in New York City, stop by. A lot of cool stuff going on there, and we will have some content to drop from that over the next couple weeks. But that'll do it for this week. So until next week, enjoy the coffee.
Enjoy the coffee.